Welcome to the Digital Empires podcast. I'm Shruti Pankthi, a digital product entrepreneur and content creator. I went from being a hobby blogger to building a 7-figure business in just 4 years using the power of digital products and content marketing. And I'm here to help you do the same. So let's get started. Hey, welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you all about 4 reasons why your digital products are not making sales or you're not making enough sales. I know this is one of the most common questions that comes across your journey as a new digital product seller. And so I want to dive into 4 main reasons why that could be happening for you. Now, reason number 1 is actually not a strategic reason, but rather more of a limited belief, which is all around having a fear of selling. Now, recently I did a Q&A on my Instagram. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, please go to my Instagram /Shruti Pankthi to make sure that you follow me, so you can participate in Q&As. That's where I asked a question. And one of the questions that I received was, how do I draw the line on when to stop selling? How do I not overdo it? Right? And I thought that was such an interesting question to ask, because a lot of the times we as solopreneurs or personal brand businesses often think that we don't want to come across as salesy or an annoying person, or, the typical car salesman who is just constantly pitching to make a sale. But the truth of the matter is that if you are in any kind of business, whether it's a digital product business or it is a car business, if you don't make any sales, your business is not going to work. You're not going to be able to pay a salary to yourself. You're not going to be able to pay for the tools that you have purchased. You're not going to be able to pay off the business debt that you have. And if you have employees, you are not going to be able to pay those employees. So your responsibility to your business, first and foremost, is to make sure that you have consistent sales. And I would argue that is the biggest thing that you have to focus on, specifically in the first couple of years of your business, where you are learning and really kind of, making sure the foundation is strong. In general, any kind of business, specifically the ones that tend to, stay around the longest, are in the business of solving problems. Whether you are offering an online course or you're offering a template pack, you are providing a solution for a particular problem. So if you have a good solution and you are confident about your product, why would you ever stop selling that solution? That's what I want you to think when you are confronted with imposter syndrome or fear of selling. I really want you to think, who is this going to serve, and is their life going to become better when they have this product? No matter how small the transformation is, no matter how small the purchase price is. As a business owner, it is your responsibility to find a way to make sales consistently. And that cannot happen if every single day you're afraid to show up and you're afraid to sell. Now, in my previous podcast, which is all about making money online, I share exactly what timeline and what content and what numbers you need to understand to actually understand how quickly you can make money. The podcast episode is called How Quickly Can You Make Money with Digital Products? It's the previous one. So I would really recommend you to go in, dive into that episode and try to get into the mindset of what you actually need to do in order to move your business forward. Now, generally speaking, when we talk about selling, we are either selling directly to our social media audiences, to our website audiences, or maybe to our email list, YouTube, podcast, wherever it is that you create content for your audience. So this is really the only place where you have to think of overcoming your fear of selling, because this is where you actively need to schedule content, create content, and post content. If you're someone who is rather shy and does not really want to be very much present on social media, you can go the paid marketing route as well. But keep in mind, you're going to have to invest money to see results there, right? And by paid marketing, I mean paying Meta, paying TikTok, paying Pinterest, paying Google to send out advertisements to your ideal clients so that they can convert from there and make you sales. Either way, whether you choose the free route or you choose the paid route, you're going to have to overcome your fear of selling in order to actually start making sales consistently in your business. So the question I really want you to think about when you are struggling to, post online or to really show up and sell is, how many times did I talk about my offer today? Did you talk once? Did you talk twice? Did you talk 10 times? And I also want you to think about how many people actually saw what I did. So let's say you posted an Instagram story which only 100 people saw, and out of those 100 people, only 1% clicked on your sales page. If only 1% clicked on that sales page, the chances of you making sales from that one story are very, very low. Now keep in mind, only 1 to 2% of your social media audience or even your email list is actually going to buy from you on any given day. Why? Because that's just how conversion rates work, and also because not everyone is active and watching your content 24/7. People have their own lives which they are busy with, and they have tons of other problems to solve as well. So your content has to do its job of capturing someone's attention and also then converting that attention into a sale. So it's totally possible that you actually posted 10 stories, but it only led to one sale because most people weren't active that day or didn't really check your sales page and hence could not really convert. So this is something that you really have to think logically about, but also understand that if you're in any business, you are in the business of making sales. If you don't make any sales, your business dies. So if you want to be in business and you want to make sure that you are actually able to sustain it in the long run, you're going to have to work on overcoming your fear of selling and making sure that you're showing up and talking about your offer every single day, if not more often. Okay, moving on. Reason number 2 is lack of traffic. Now, traffic is simply the amount of eyeballs or visitors you get to your product or to your product sales page. This really boils down to simple math, and a lot of the problems that we have as business owners can get very, very quickly solved when we remove the emotion behind that problem and understand that it is a basic math problem. Now, a lot of people, when they talk about starting their business and growing their business, they often say, oh, this person has so many followers and that's why she's able to make so many sales. But honestly, followers don't mean jack shit. If you don't know how to convert those followers into sales, you're not going to be able to make sales even if you have 1 million followers. And this is why the metric that your business needs to track is not the amount of followers that you have. The metric that your business needs to track is how many people clicked on your sales page or to your sales page on any given day. Now, earlier I mentioned about conversion rates and that how 1 to 2% of your audience is likely to buy from you on any given day. This means that if you have 100 clicks to your sales page, 1 to 2 people are going to make a purchase. If you have 200 clicks to your sales page, 2 to 4 people are going to make a sale. 300, 3 to 6, and so on and so forth. So I really want you to ask yourself, did I get enough traffic to my product page today? How much traffic did you get, right? I want you to remove the emotion out of this and really go after the numbers so that you're able to track those numbers and actually grow from there instead of just placing the blame on random things like, I don't have enough followers, I'm not smart enough, blah, 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 right? Let's talk numbers. And when you find out that you did not get the target numbers that you wanted in order to make the target number of sales, you need to find a way to then grow your traffic. It might mean that you have to have a better strategy of posting on social media. It might mean that you have to go on a different platform like TikTok or maybe even Pinterest to gather more traction. Whatever it means for you, you have to understand that without traffic, you're not going to be able to make sales. And the faster you can figure out the traffic equation, the faster your business is going to grow. Okay, moving on, reason number 3, and this reason is so important and something that most people don't really wrap their mind around, and that is having a bad offer. Now, an offer is simply the way that you package your product. What is the messaging around your offer? How are you actually selling it? What solution is your product solving? And how are you communicating that solution? Now, this is something that I dive a lot deeper into my episode 1 Million Digital Product Formula. I believe it was published a couple of months back, but make sure to scroll down back into my podcast series and see the 1 Million Digital Product Formula to really dive deep into offer creation and building. But long story short, I want you to ask yourself, is my offer good or not? And the way that you're going to answer this question is by figuring out what your conversion rate is. Again, let's take the emotion out of the equation. Let's talk numbers, right? So when we spoke about conversion rates, I told you that about 1 to 2% is the industry standard, right? That doesn't mean that it has to be true for you. You can absolutely have a conversion rate which is much better and much higher if your audience is engaged and they trust you and they want to buy from you. So the way to calculate your conversion rate is to simply take the number of sales that you have made on any single day, week, or month. You choose the timeline and you divide that by the number of sales page visits that you had on that particular timeline. So if you're calculating it for the last month, I want you to calculate the total number of sales divided by the total number of sales page views, and you're going to get a certain number as a percentage, right? Now let's talk about how to analyze whether or not this number is good. How do I analyze whether my offer is good or bad, right? So if you have a conversion rate which is less than 1%, you have a bad offer. There's no way to sugarcoat it. You need to work on either changing the product that you're offering or changing the messaging around it or changing something major because clearly it is not doing well, right? If you have a conversion rate of between 1 to 2%, you have a standard or a decent offer. So this is the standard average offer that you would see anywhere in the industry. If you have a conversion rate which is between 3 to 5%, that means you have a good offer. It's solid. It's something that you can work with. It's something you can scale, and you can even go and scale it with different platforms and different ads and so on and so forth. And if you have a conversion rate which is 6% or above, that's a great offer. That is something that, you really have hit the jackpot on, and you absolutely need to double down on making more sales on it, because clearly that offer is resonating with your audience and doing very, very well. Now, there are many factors that go into building a good offer, and this is why I would recommend checking out my podcast episodes so you can dive deep into it. Most people default to thinking that it's all about the price. If you sell something for cheap, more people will buy. But that's not always the case, because cheap doesn't always equate to good. If I'm looking for a therapist to, solve like a deep, serious emotional problem for me, I might not go to the cheapest person because I might think that they're not qualified to solve that problem. And it's the same for digital products as well. Just because you think that you have put a product for $10, it doesn't mean that it's going to sell by the definition of the price. The bigger thing to keep in mind, and this is me telling you after making literally 50,000 plus sales every single year, is that it is not about just the price. It is about the value that your product is providing. Can you ensure that your product is giving at least 5 to 10 times the value compared to what you're charging for it? So if you're charging $100 for your product, will someone get at least $500 to $1,000 out of value from it? In other words, will they save that much time, or will they save money, or will they actually save time in figuring out how to solve that problem, which is going to equate to a larger value compared to the exchange that you make? It's the same logic that you apply when you buy something on Amazon. You look at something that is going to solve a problem. Let's say you want to look for a neck pillow and you're going to, use it for flying. You're going to look at a good price to value ratio where you feel like your money is getting what it's worth, right? This is the same thing that's true for digital products as well. If you charge people a price which reflects ideally the exact amount of value that you are providing, and in that way, you're communicating the fact that their value provided is much larger than what they're paying for, you're going to be able to sell that offer much, much more easily. And again, there are specific strategic factors that go into this offer creation, which I dive a lot deeper inside of my course, Digital Product Academy, which again is offered inside Digital Business Bundle, which is my super bundle or mega bundle of all my best-selling courses. You can check out more about this in the description box below in case you're interested in accessing it. Okay, moving on, factor number 4. And again, a lot of people think that this doesn't matter. And they think that the minute they show up on the digital marketing scene, they're going to be able to make sales. That's unfortunately not true. The reason being that this factor is all about credibility. If you are someone who has low credibility, in other words, people don't see you as an expert or as a brand that is going to solve someone's problems, you're going to have trouble making sales. And really, credibility boils down to trust. Do I trust this person online enough to hand them over $500 or not? That's literally the question that your customer is asking in their brain when you are selling something online to them, right? Now, trust can be formed in many different ways. Trust can be formed by being around for a certain period of time. So if you have paid your dues in creating content, in sharing your story, in adding value to your audience for years and years, you're by default of doing that, creating a lot of trust, right? My audience trusts me implicitly, even if they have never bought from me, because I've been doing YouTube, podcasting, blogging for years and years now. So even if they never spend a penny on me, they still trust me that I will be able to give them a solution that is honest and transparent. And I think that is what we need to aim for when it comes to even being a new seller on the market. So how do you do it when you haven't created content for years, right? How do you fast track that result? You can fast track that by getting other people to vote for you. So this is done by testimonials. This is done by reviews. If you go on Amazon, you often end up buying a book that is in the bestseller list because other people have voted that it was amazing, right? The same logic applies to digital products as well. Can you get enough testimonials, reviews, or even case studies of your products having helped people so that your prospects have the idea that you are the right person to solve this problem for them? It is about positioning yourself as an expert, whether you are selling with your face as a personal brand or you are selling as a faceless brand. Even if you're selling through a faceless brand, you still need trust and you still need credibility. One of my favorite ways of sharing trust and credibility is by talking about your personal story. Now, you might not have the fanciest story here, but you may have gone through a struggle in your life that others can relate to. Maybe you had a health struggle. that you were dealing with and you overcame that. And that is why you're selling now a product around healthy eating. Maybe you had a struggle of, not making enough money, not being able to provide for your family. And then you found a financial management system that allowed you to improve the quality of life for your family. And hence you're selling a financial management spreadsheet. So you need to connect what you're doing and selling with your own personal story in order to build trust and establish trust, because humans buy from humans. We're not just buying from robots. We want to buy from someone who understands what we're going through and is going to provide the right solution for it. So keep in mind, it's not just about having the right offer or having the trendiest offer. It's also about establishing trust and credibility in the eyes of your audience and making sure that the results that you provide and the experience that you provide to your customers outshines anything else. And that's really the only way to move forward. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that in any kind of business, once you start scaling and once you start seeing more customers, there are going to be people who don't think the world of you or don't really love you or are not obsessed with your products. And that is fine. Just think about how many brands you have tried online that you didn't love, right? If you are talking about sneakers, there are people who love Adidas, there are people who love Puma, there are people who love New Balance. Everyone has their reasons on why they like one brand more than the other. This is the same case when you are selling digital products on your social media or on, your website as well. There might be people who have tried your product but are not in love with it, and that's totally fine because that is, again, human nature as well. But as a business owner, it is your responsibility and your job to make sure that you're over-delivering and making sure that you're actually solving the problem that you promised that you would solve on the sales page. So this is not about bluffing people. This is about actually delivering the value that you said that you would deliver. That is how you create trust, not only with new people who are joining your audience, but also with your existing customers, because your existing customers are going to be the ones who are going to keep buying from you in future if you did your job right with the first product itself. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to give us a follow. And if you would like to learn more about how I'm building a profitable digital product business, I have a 100% free training that you can get started with. It's just 25 minutes of the step-by-step roadmap of how I went from zero to over $1 million with digital products. If you want to check that out, the link is going to be in the description box or in the show notes. Thank you so much